Hello, everybody, and welcome to DVU Podcast. You are tuning into the show of HNM. You got Harry, which is myself. You got Matthew, Matty Ice Byer.
How's it going?
And you got Nathan, the great man Cummins.
Howdy.
All right, cowboy. So, to kind of start off this first show, we are a variety show for everybody listening out there, and we're just kind of going to start off with the biggest news. We are not the sports show for the club, but the biggest news coming up this weekend that has to be discussed, the Super Bowl. Now, everybody's got their opinions. What do we think is going to happen, boys?
Well, obviously, I think the Super Bowl stands out from others in the past simply because you have Cam Newton, who's leading the Carolina Panthers. What he embodies is really a new era in football. He embodies the flash, the razzle-dazzle. He's always celebrating, dancing. He's hitting the dab. He's giving...
hitting that dab.
He's hitting the dab. He's giving the balls to the kids after he scores a touchdown. And you have Peyton Manning, who's obviously one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game, but he's more fundamental. He's not as flashy. Some would even say he's not as fun to watch. And I just think it's going to be a great defensive and offensive matchup on the field.
I mean, you look at it, there's a lot of storylines here. In every Super Bowl, there's a lot of storylines, but I think there's a lot more lying behind this one. You got, is this Peyton Manning's last game? If it is, if he wins, is it? Or if he doesn't win, does he come back for another one? And should he come back for another one? A lot of times, we look at Super Bowl games, and we look at, is it the two best teams representing the league this year? I think so. I think, Carolina, throughout the year, was the best team in the NFC. A lot of people argue Arizona may have been better.
There's a lot of people argue that.
Yeah, but I think if you look at the way that Carolina has played as of late, and throughout the whole year, they stayed healthy, remarkably, outside of a couple injuries to wide receivers at the beginning of the year. They stayed healthy throughout the year. Obviously, the Peyton Manning injury to Denver was big throughout the year, but, it helped them grow as a team.
I mean, Brock Osweiler was kind of, he came in pretty clutch for him.
He changed the dynamics of the team, I think. So.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to agree 100%, but I think with Peyton Manning, kind of like something that you touched on, you're seeing you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. I mean, at some point, Peyton Manning's going to have to hang him up. And as we've seen, between this year and even a little bit of last year, he's struggling. He's getting older, and that's what happens.
Peyton Manning of old.
Exactly. Now, I would love to see him end on one last hurrah. I know you guys have a slightly different opinion on that, if anybody wants to elaborate.
I mean, of course I love Peyton Manning. I mean, he's a class act. He's a phenomenal player. He's a good role model for young players. But, I mean, I would just rather see the Panthers win simply because what Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers bring to the table as a whole, it's just different. I feel like it hasn't been seen before. I wouldn't say that, but it's just I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely I don't like the argument that this has never been seen before because I get it. Cam Newton is a big, strong quarterback. He's got a lot of flair to him. But you have seen big, strong players with a lot of flair. He is not the first person to celebrate. This is a fact. You have T.O., you got Randy Moss, you got a lot of guys with a lot of big personalities. So I can't agree with this whole, we've never seen anything quite like him.
I mean, if you look at him in his physical stature,
yeah,
look at
that statue, man.
Is it statue? Yeah, it's chiseled in stone. But when you look at him, his physical abilities, the way that he plays the game, the way that he presents himself, it is kind of new age, modern age quarterback. You look at a quarterback and you look through the past of the year, and a lot of football traditionalists, what's the quarterback supposed to be? He's the leader of your team. He's the one that does all the right things. He's the one that leads your team into battle. The way that he carries himself, the way that it's kind of the identity of the team forms around the quarterback.
Yeah.
And you look at Cam, and he's having fun. I mean, the whole team is having fun.
Yeah.
Over the past few weeks, he's having fun. They look well. They play well when Cam plays well. And it is a quarterback-driven league, and it is important to have him playing at a high level. And you just see how much more he impacts his team than, say, Peyton Manning at this time in his career.
Nate, I'm actually glad you brought up the fact that he is having fun out there. I mean, one thing that I think gets lost is that even though these are phenomenal athletes and they're grown men, at the end of the day, they are playing a sport, and the morale of the team is pivotal. And I think one thing Cam Newton brings to the table that really hasn't been seen before is that I mean, I'm not saying other players haven't had fun, but he brings so much charisma to the Panthers' offense that players feed off of it. I mean, he makes players who aren't as good, like that receiving core that he has to work with, isn't spectacular, but he makes them better just because of the energy that he brings every day.
I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, the receiving core, Kelvin Benjamin going down early in the year. I mean, in all honesty, Cam Newton, is just kind of doing, I don't want to say doing this on his own. He's got a great defense, but offensively, he's really led the way. He's got a great defense and all. But, I mean, if you look at Peyton Manning, he's got two of arguably the best receivers in the league in Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas. So you would hope that he would be able to, being an NFL quarterback, have a solid year when you have two of the best receivers in the league, which I think is just another testament to what Cam Newton has done. He's kind of done it with, I mean, he's got Greg Olsen, but he's done it with a little bit less, Yeah,
I mean, it's a totally different game plan. And you see that Denver, throughout the year, with that, obviously the health issues have been huge in Peyton all year long. He had multiple injuries. He sat out a couple of weeks. It changed the game plan of what Denver was to do. But you're right. I mean, Cam Newton has done it with less, and we've seen it all year. And it's just the mindset that the team has had throughout the year. They find ways to win. That's what good teams do. You don't have to be the best team out there. You don't have to be the flashiest. You don't have to have the best players. But as long as you find ways to win ball games, that's all it takes in the NFL. That's what Carolina's doing right now. That's what they've done all year long. And you see what they've done in the playoffs, especially. I mean, they've steamrolled teams, and everybody thought, Seattle was playing really well at the end of the year, and they were getting hot, and they were a tough team to play. Nobody wanted to play them. And then Arizona, like we said, like you commented, a lot of people thought Arizona may be the best team in the league.
Yeah.
They ran through both of those teams like it was nothing.
Yeah.
So they just find ways to win, and I think that's what they're going to do Sunday night. They're going to find a way to win.
Yeah. So just kind of to wrap up on that one, what are we seeing prediction-wise? Being this is the biggest game of the year and everything revolving around this game from length of the Star Spangled Banner to the coin toss is being bet on, score-wise, what are we predicting?
I personally think Carolina pulls it out. I think 30-24. I think Cam has a good game. And as unfortunate as it is, I think this would be it for Manning, and his continues in the playoff struggles will continue.
Yeah.
I just like to say that whoever wins or loses, this is going to be a spectacular game. We have two top-tier defenses going head-to-head. I think it's going to be within a touchdowns margin, less than 7 points or so.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Cam Newton and that high-powered offense definitely edges out an aging Manning, and that's my prediction.
Yeah, well, I'm going to have to go ahead and disagree with you on that one. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Denver Broncos winning 24-20. Peyton Manning, shakes off that neuropathy a little bit in his arm, maybe dusts off the shoulders a little bit, and turns back into the Peyton of old.
He's Mr. Clay.
He is Mr. That, well, hey, all he needs is one more game, and that's all. Hey, he's got a chance. So going into a advertisement here, like I have told you in a previous podcast, we are taking advertisements from any clubs here on campus. So we have the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, SAC. They're raising money for a nonprofit organization called Operation Jersey Cares. This is a organization based out of Somerville, New Jersey. They really focus mainly on getting military personnel overseas with medical services and care packages that they send over, just to make the men and women over there feel better. So they will be hosting a Valentine's for Veterans bingo / raffle on Thursday, February 11th from 7 to 11 p.m. There's going to be great prizes donated from athletes such as vintage gear, prizes including gift cards to businesses in your local area so you can take your lovely lady out for Valentine's Day that's coming up. You also have bingo cards. They are going to cost 25 cents each. Delval students, you guys get in for free. Everybody else, alumni, guests, faculty, all that good stuff, you guys got to pay $5 to get in. Sorry about that. But it's for a great cause. It's for the people fighting overseas. And, I mean, it's a fantastic organization. You just got to love what they're doing. So now kind of to transition, onto a lighter note. We did our predictions and whatnot, but this is still the biggest thing that's happening this weekend. So we're going to kind of recall what our own personal favorite advertisements or even halftime show, because I know the halftime show's got a lot of controversy around it anymore. We're going to just, what are we thinking about them? What are our favorites from past days?
I think my favorite Super Bowl commercial of all time was the Bud Light commercial, where it was a few years ago. It was when they were driving I was a husband and wife. They were driving down the side of the road, and they were picking up random guys on the side of the road that had Bud Light, and they just had the one guy had an axe in his hand, the other guy had a chainsaw. That was a few years ago. It's an older one, but I think that was hands down my favorite of all time. There has been some real tearjerkers as of late. Some pulling on the emotions. Not quite as funny as they used to be, but I think you take a time and you look at what people are looking at now. That's more what they're going for.
Yeah.
One of my favorites personally is it's Budweiser. I mean, far and away, it has to be Budweiser. They roll out the puppy with the Clydesdale.
Oh, that is
sad music.
You took my favorite, man. That one was key.
It's hard not to like it, and I mean, honestly, how many Budweiser commercials do you really see during the year other than the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Not many.
I mean, if you really think about it, these advertisements, you see these not these specific ones, but you see these companies advertising every game of the week, and they're just kind of another advertisement. Super Bowl comes around, these are the ones that stick. I mean, in your head right now, you remember the Budweiser one, and that's that's a great job on their part. But it just tells you just how important this game is to everything. The day itself.
Yeah, it's not just You look at all the things that surround. They got the Puppy Bowl now. It's huge. I believe that's what it's called, where they have the dogs on and to get them adopted. I mean, it's the whole day in itself. It's really become a day-long event in terms of
it's like a holiday.
It's a holiday.
It literally is an American holiday now. Not only does football own a day of the week throughout the entire season, they own a whole day when it comes to Super Bowl time, from the advertisements to the parties. They make so much money, so much money based on this day in general.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not even just making money for themselves. I mean, you see all the money they're making for all these other companies. They wouldn't be doing these advertisements, if they weren't working to some respect. They're paying millions of dollars to get for 30 seconds. I wish somebody would pay me millions of dollars for 30 seconds.
I mean, how many people do you know that never watch a single football game all year round, but because it's the Super Bowl, they'll chime in and we'll give it a watch.
Exactly.
Or even just to see the ads.
I mean,
people just watch the Super Bowl for the ads.
Yeah. I mean, plus you get the free concert at halftime. Yeah. Speaking of which, we've had some very serious memories there.
Which is hit or miss.
Hit or miss, 100%.
Like last year's Katy Perry with the dancing shark.
became an internet sensation.
Seriously. I mean, we all sit here and say how stupid that is, but it's famous.
I think it was phenomenal. I think it was a phenomenal.
Oh, of course you would.
Oh, absolutely.
I was not a fan, but of course they did their job because it was memorable, and it got so much. So much.
Yeah. I mean, then how many years ago was it where there was, the boob flying out, the Janet Jackson boob flying out, because that was just such an accident that I didn't mean to yank there. So, but yeah, there's a lot of these, and then this year we have Coldplay and Rihanna.
Yeah.
Rihanna,
that's a hell of a combo right there.
I'm looking forward to Rihanna. She's good.
She did it phenomenally a few years ago. She was phenomenal.
I never really like Rihanna that much. I like old Coldplay. I like them, but I mean,
they're not going to be playing old songs.
Well, obviously not. They're going to be playing their new hipster weird stuff. Well, no offense to the hipsters out there.
Right. This is like they made all year long a big deal out of this being the 50th Super Bowl. Like throw a big party, and they picked Coldplay to be the band playing at halftime. I would have thought that they could have gone.
There's definitely.
That's actually a good point because it is the 50th Super Bowl and they hyped it up all year. And Nate, just like you said, I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, Coldplay.
You could have picked
really?
somebody.
Come on. There's
nothing against
dozens
Coldplay,
of bands.
Nothing against Coldplay, but
they're all right.
Yeah.
But, I feel like they could have picked somebody a little better, or
maybe
a few more bands, or done something more big.
But I mean, now, wait. Do they go after bands that have, new albums coming out? Because I know Coldplay has that new album coming out, and, that's, I guess it's a promotion, but wouldn't you want to entertain and not really do that?
Both, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess.
I don't know how they pick them personally, but
well, let's just say they might have to pick a little better.
Yeah.
I think if Rihanna's headlining, which I don't know if she is, I think that's a great choice. I mean, you're rolling your eyes, Harry.
Yes, I am.
Phenomenal.
I don't.
She's an entertainer. More so than I think Coldplay is.
She's an entertainer.
Oh please, I don't like her that much.
Remember a few years ago they had Black Eyed Peas out there?
Now that's a solid band. Let's bring them back. Let's bring them back.
They put on a show.
I think they should become coming back. I love those
They
guys.
had all those like electronic
Apple D app.
things. Yeah, like,
Apple D app. Will I am. Oh my
that
goodness.
was phenomenal. But now you know Coldplay. No, I'm sure they're going to do a great job.
But yeah,
I'm
Coldplay.
Sure they're gonna do a great job. They're gonna get to the Super Bowl. But you know what? Hey.
Yeah.
Amen.
I mean, let's.
Hit or miss.
Seriously though. Now there's also a lot of controversy. From what I hear, there is a advertisement that's going to depict football players in the NFL as supporting and caring for their wives or spouses or significant others against domestic abuse is really what they're trying to do. Recent years they've had some issues there. Now, I guess the real question that I would have to pose right now is, I mean, they are celebrities, but whether you like it, the NFL's the boss, the players are the employees.
Right.
Is it the boss's job to tell the employees how to act like that? I mean, the police, it's a terrible thing. The police are in charge, I would say, of doing that, legally responding to that. But I don't see why anybody, any viewer would blame the NFL for what's occurring.
Well, here's the thing, Harry. I mean, I kind of agree and I kind of disagree with what you said. If we're talking about any other company like Walmart or Target or something where the employees don't have as much notoriety or publicity.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious.
Right. But we're talking about the NFL, like we said, they're an organization that owns a day of the week. And obviously there are millions upon millions of young men who play football and little boys who play football, and they look up to these superstars to be role models and to set examples for them. And I think the NFL has a social responsibility to put their foot down and say, you know what, as an organization, we're not going to stand for this, and I think we're going to make a conscious effort to make sure that doesn't happen.
I mean, yeah, I don't want to say they should, but it's smart of them to fight back against it. You know what I mean? Like, I would not say it's their obligation because you can't control people like that. It's like crime. You don't know when it's going to happen. That's why it happens. If you knew when it was going to happen and where it was going to happen, you'd stop it. But you can't. So, I mean, I don't really want to say it's their obligation to try and stop it, but it's a very, very smart and conscious effort on their part to try.
Well, I mean, it's like you said, Matt. Like if the NFL is everybody that plays in the NFL is a role model, regardless to how big of a star they are or small. I mean, I know I've had friends that have the weirdest people that they love. A punter or a backup quarterback or something like that.
Yeah.
Regardless of how big of a star you are still in the NFL. You're on the TV every Sunday. Or
I mean, any sport, really.
Any sport. This isn't just for the NFL. This is for any sport. Or anybody in the public eye. You're in the public eye. You're a role model to somebody. And what you do, people look up to. Regardless if you want it or not, you play a sport or you do something that is in the public eye, people see that. Regardless of how public you want your personal life to be or not, you don't have a choice, really, if you're in the spotlight. Anything you do, anybody can find out with a quick click on the internet.
Oh, and they're ready for it, let me tell you.
With a cell phone, any 13-year-old with a cell phone now, they can take a video of seeing where you're at any time. I think it's more responsibility on the individual person.
Yes.
That you have to control. You have to know the situation that you're at. You have to control who you surround yourself with. And you have to be careful because regardless if you want it or not, you are a role model, and it is important that you act as one all the time. Open and close doors, and because anything you do will get out. And I think that's very important. I think that's one of the things that people don't realize in the spotlight. And they make a lot of money, and there's highly influential. And I think where the NFL messes up is the fact that more talented people get away with more.
Oh, yes.
It's a talent. I mean, look at Greg Hardy. I mean, he was a phenomenal player. He's a terrible human being. If you look and see what he did to his girlfriend, he's a terrible human being, but he's a phenomenal football player.
I mean,
we forgive that. We shouldn't. As a society, we shouldn't forgive that.
But this is going back to, the age-old tale of favorites. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you see this back when you're playing Little League ball or whatever, wherever you're at.
Right.
There's always some kind of favorite. Coach's favorite. And you can't tell me that doesn't happen because it's 100% happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
we've seen it. I mean, look at Ray Rice. Ray Rice gets in trouble. A person at the end of his career, tail end of his career, was not as effective at the time that it happened that he was earlier in his career, and look what's happened. He's not gotten a second chance. Look at Michael Vick. I mean, it's not the same thing, but it's another action player acting out in public with dogfighting, something that is not acceptable in any stretch of the matter.
Yeah.
Gets in trouble, but he's given a second chance because he's Michael Vick. I mean, who do we idolize when we were young kids? Michael Vick. He's the most athletic player, and the most dynamic player in football.
And it's not like you can't say there's no other athletes. There's tons of other people they may not be as 100% talented as old Michael Vick, but there's other kids that want to play. There's other guys coming out of college that want to play.
Yeah, and I mean, and the thing is too. I think the thing is that we only see the guys that are the big stars. We see them blown out of proportion in media and just torn apart for the bad things they do. But now, say a guy that's a backup player or a practice squad guy does the same thing. What happens? They just get cut, thrown to the sideline, and then they're done forever. They never get another chance. But because of the talented guys, the more talented you are, the more willing that we're able to give you a second chance. I feel like those are the players that we should hold to a higher standard. Mm-hmm. Those are the players that I don't feel should be given a second chance because you're in the spotlight, you're highly influential, you need to act so, and you need to behave yourself in a manner and professionally knowing that.
I think getting back to the whole NFL's campaign on domestic abuse, I think it speaks volumes to the fact that the NFL took money out of its budget to publicly announce that it had a problem and try to combat that problem. I mean, historically, the NFL has had no problem sweeping issues, big-name issues under the rug, whether it's the concussions or domestic violence.
They made a whole movie on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Domestic violence up until this year, I feel.
Yeah.
So it really speaks volumes to just say, or to show that how bad it's gotten, that they're willing to take money that obviously they want to be spending somewhere else. Right? They want to be using it in other areas, whether it's getting more fans to the seats, whatever it may be. And I don't know. I think there would be more that they're not telling us, and they're trying to nip it in the butt right now.
Well, obviously, I think like I said earlier, it is a genius strategy on their part to just kind of come right out and say they're against it. You can't sweep this kind of thing under the rug because then it's way too big. Then it makes you look like the bad guy. And I mean, that's very smart of them, and it's good of them to pay all this money to try and stop this because honestly, these players need to know they're not. They're not invincible. They're football players. Yeah, they're getting paid a lot of money, but they're held to the same standards as everybody else. Now, kind of going off on another little advertisement that I have here for another club, we have a little promotion for the National Residence Hall Honorary Society. They're having a branching out network in the Mumdus Auditorium Wednesday, February 24th, 2016. It's going to be from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Students, staff, and faculty can all register at tinyurl.com/branchout2016. It's going to be a great event where you can, make connections with other students here on campus and other, possibly job, professionals that are looking to hire. So to kind of get back to what you said earlier, you mentioned concussions.
Right.
Now, the football. Oh my God, I'm sounding like an idiot. The league has been combating that as well. The whole CTE, concussions, these guys are, they're getting hit in the head and they're having some serious brain problems. Crippling trauma. And it can only be expected from having 500-pound guys try and kill you, basically. So I guess what I'm trying to really ask with this one would be, once again, to the obligation of the NFL, is it really the employer's job to protect these people from what they're from the job that they are offering them to do?
Well, it's just for the first argument, it depends on what you're talking about. So if we're talking about the NFL in this case, or the armed services or whatever you're talking about, it is inherently known that you know what you sign up for. You're putting your body in harm's way. You know there's a very high possibility you're going to sustain bodily harm. And in this instance, no. I mean, if you're not educated enough to know that you might get a concussion in football, then maybe you're not intelligent enough to be playing sports in the first place. But if you're working at a Target or something, and say you're applying for a job that is dangerous but isn't very well known to be dangerous, then the employer should have an obligation to say, hey, look, you can take this job, but there could be some consequences that you may not realize.
Yeah.
I think that at this point in the NFL, I think there's enough documentation on concussions that you can't possibly say that it's not going to happen. I think at this point in the NFL that from the little ages, Pee Wee football, Pop Warner, all that kind of stuff, where you start at the beginning, I think you know from the beginning now there's enough proven evidence of what the dangers are.
Yeah.
Physically, mentally, emotionally. There's enough proven all the way up through high school, midgets, to college, all the way up until,
I can't believe you just
different
offended
levels.
the midget community like that. My God.
Football,
Well, I never played football growing
Yeah,
up.
whatever. But, there's different levels now at this point, and everybody knows all the way up through the levels of football what the dangers are. It's not just at the NFL that these injuries happen. There's more people playing football than at the NFL.
Yeah.
And I think that people now at this point, they know that that's possible. And I don't think it's the NFL's fault anymore to tell them, but I think they should be informed. And I think they have. I think the NFL has done a good job of showing. Now, after all of the settlements, after all of the punishments that have been handed down on them for not originally tackling this, I think it was an issue that they kind of pushed away, tried to
hide, which is the point of that movie that's coming out.
And I think that's an issue. Then it has been an issue of the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
But I think at this point, as a player, I think you'd be dumb not to know.
Yeah.
Personally responsible for the dangers you're putting yourself in, and that's why they're highly compensated. I mean, it's a dangerous
Exactly.
game.
I mean, I think when you sign the $1 million contract, you need to know they're not paying you $1 million to sit in a padded room and think. Like you're being paid to do something that is, life-threatening. It is what it is.
I mean, people have died playing football.
They have.
Paralyzed.
They've been paralyzed.
Injuries. And I think that's the thing that they need to realize. I mean, you're playing it's a violent game.
Yeah.
And that's why there's so much appeal to it. That's why, as Americans, we love it so much. But that's why. And I think people know now that play it now.
Yeah.
That there's that chance of injury.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. And I think,
But in that sense, I don't think the NFL should stop, or football as a whole should stop trying to do things to prevent further injuries.
No. I mean, I think
they should continue to look. I know they've done different things with different helmets. There's different rules now. You can't lead with the head. They're trying to make the game safer.
Yeah.
But I don't think
It's football.
That's not enough to say that people that play it should know.
Yeah.
I think bottom line is no matter what you do at the end of the day, whether it's the equipment or the procedures as far as penalties being called, I mean, people are always going to get hurt, and whether it's football or hockey.
It's a reaction game.
It's just going to happen. So, I mean, I think the whole argument, to a certain extent, is valid, but, I mean, people who are just so flustered, I'm not letting my kids play football because they can get hurt. I mean, you can get hurt doing anything.
You can. But then it's a higher risk.
Exactly.
I mean, you just got to know what you're getting into.
How many reports have there been of kids walking down the street and then, a drunk driver jumps the curb and kills them?
I mean, it happens.
I feel like that happens more than...
Every day you wake up, it's a risk.
Yeah.
You're not guaranteed tomorrow.
Well, exactly. Well, okay, that was very deep and philosophical. My God, I'm crying over. I'm crying. I was crying over here. Oh man. So we got another little advertisement here for you. We got the Relay for Life. They're having an event here at DVU. They're going to be having the event from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. April 15th through the 16th. This is going to be a walk to raise awareness for cancer. So they want you to help join in the fight to end cancer. In the past 2 years, Del Valle has raised over $20,000 for cancer. That's a lot, and that's a ton, through this program. So make your team or your Greek family, your teammates, your organization, or your friends, just get a group together, make a team, and register at relayforlife.org/PA Del Valle. If you have any more questions, feel free to email Katie Goldberg, and she will happily help you out with any team or that you were trying to make or any questions that you had on the subject. Now, do we have anything else going on? What else is going on in the old noggins? Anything?
I'm all tapped out. I think we hit everything.
You think? Got any more? Nothing else?
No, I think for today, for the first show,
I think for the first show, I thought this went really well. For everybody out there listening, if you want to get involved in this kind of thing, feel free to email me, Harry Hancock, at hancockho6241 at delval.edu. I will be more than happy to sit down with you and talk about, get involved with this and possibly having your own show. We really want everybody to listen, so please promote to all the students out there. Alumni, please promote.
Like our Facebook?
Yeah, definitely. We have a Facebook page. We are the Podcast Club at Del Val. We have a Twitter. We are at DVU Podcast. So follow us, like us. We're going to be posing questions in terms of what you guys want to hear, and we'll be more than happy to do it. If you have any feedback, feel free to message us or just let us know.
I'd also just like to extend a special thank you to Javar Outlaw, who is in the studio with us.
Javar, you're a true American.
He's just he stuck with us through this whole process, and I just felt like he deserved a thank you.
You know what? I think so too. Thank you, Javar. You're a great guy. Yep, that a boy. That a boy. That a boy. He's a real man. Well, I think that just about wraps it up. Let's go down the line. Everybody say your goodbyes.
Peace out.
Have a good one.
See everybody later. Tune in next time with the next show.